Hi there, welcome to this 8-hour podcast. It's an episode with legendary Steve Albini that I met because we just recorded 2 days here with Yuval Leon and Ben Sverin, and he was kind enough to reply to a few questions about starting tape recording. And so here it is today. We shot at the end of the session. Great, here we go. So, hi, Steve. Thanks for talking a few minutes with us.
No problem.
About the podcast. I was wondering, for someone who has a small studio and that has been recorded digitally and wants to start recording on tape, what would you advise to buy and what to learn first?
If you have never recorded on tape and you want to teach yourself how to record on tape, I would start with the simplest, smallest thing that's possible to get. A cassette 4-track, if there's one available, is fine. You learn a lot of principles that way. Once you've learned some of the mechanics of recording on analog tape, like how to punch in and how to access individual tracks to make a composite and that sort of thing, mix things down and bounce them to another track, that sort of thing. Once you've learned some of those mechanics, getting something larger is good, because then a more professional machine will teach you about all of the technical details of the session, like how to calibrate your machine, how to maintain the machine, because you're going to need to, any machine you buy is going to be secondhand and will need to have some repairs and some maintenance done to it. And over the life of the machine and over your life as an engineer, you're going to need to become familiar with calibrating and maintaining and fixing your machine, in the same way that if you have a piece of mechanical equipment, you need to know how to adjust it so that it works properly, and if something goes wrong, you need to be able to tell what's going wrong so that you can fix it and order a part or whatever.
Yeah.
So I would start with something super simple, like a cassette machine or a home hi-fi reel-to-reel machine, something that has no adjustments and no technical knowledge required to operate it. And then once you're familiar with the mechanics of the system, I would try getting something a little more elaborate, like a 4-track reel-to-reel machine, for example, or an 8-track reel-to-reel machine. And whenever you buy a more professional machine, you're also going to need to get a calibration tape and some of the calibration tools.
What does it mean to calibrate?
To calibrate the machine means that you're making it operate according to the international standards, so that when you put in a signal at a certain level, it comes out at the same level, and within the system, it's operating within the parameters of the tape, it's operating within the acceptable range of the tape, and that you have a flat recording, meaning that the frequency response coming out is very nearly identical to the frequency response going in. There is a bit of a myth about the sound of tape, in that if you run something through a tape machine, it's going to sound magically different. If the tape machine is working properly, there should be very little difference between the input and the output.
Oh yeah, really?
I mean, I and all analog engineers, we spend a lot of time and energy trying to make sure that the output sounds like the input.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, we stop and fix it.
Okay.
So in a lot of cases, some people are attributing to the tape machine some tonal shaping ability, which is actually a result of a poorly maintained machine, a machine that's not working properly.
Yeah, because a lot of people talk about tape compression.
Yeah, if you're operating a tape machine correctly, you should not notice any compression.
Okay.
Compression only happens at the very extremes of the saturation of the tape, and the sound quality would deteriorate in many ways before it started to compress.
Okay.
The compression is actually sort of a soft clipping that happens at different frequencies at different levels. So there's a gradual onset of it, but you should notice pretty big problems before you get to a point of saturating the tape. Like most tape machines and most tape formulations and most tape machines, you have comfortably 12 or 15 dB of headroom. So you would need to be pinning all of the meters in order to get into distortion or saturation on a properly calibrated
Really
system.
have to push everything.
Yeah,
to,
I mean, all the lights would be red and you would know that you're fucking it up really badly.
Yeah.
So, but it's possible to set the machine up so that it's incorrectly or non-standard calibration, so that you're operating it in compression. It's possible to do that.
Some people do it on purpose, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's an extreme scenario, and you couldn't make a normal recording on a situation like that, in a situation like that. So if what you wanted is a normal recording, that machine set up that way would be useless. But if you want to create a distortion effect using a tape machine, or create some kind of a special effect using a tape machine, you can do it. In my practice, I don't do it. I spend my time and energy trying to make, accurate recordings, or recordings as accurate as possible.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot.
No problem.